Hi everyone and welcome to this live stream. My name is Sascha, I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft and I'm focusing on advanced analytics and machine learning topics. And I thought I'm doing community for years now and I thought let's use my YouTube channel to also talk to other people in the community, and this time I've got the honor to talk to Roman Schacherl. And we are going to talk about machinelearning.net and other related topics in that space. For those of you who have no idea who Roman is living in Austria. He's the founder and CEO of a company called Software. Software has a team of 20 developers who create custom solutions, mainly based on .NET Core, Microsoft Azure, and Angular. Roman is also a lecturer at the University of Applied Science in Upper Austria, and he received the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Award now, I think, 6 years in a row. So let's come on stage. And yes, the camera is working because we lost the Skype stream just a second ago. But yeah, I can see you. So welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. So that's technology, and he's gone again. So let's try that again. We should try that a couple of times now, getting you on the streams and back and on the streams. I have no idea why this is dropping all the time. So you need to share your camera again. Hey, perfect. Now I can see you. Looks good so far.
Works very well.
Yeah, I have no idea why Skype is disconnecting over and over and over. Let me just get that back to where we are. Perfect. Okay, so let's give that a try. Our first live stream, and this is already driving me nuts in terms of that it's not really working. Anyway, so let's give that a try. So you are a software engineer. So I'm doing software engineering for years as well, and we both moved to the machine learning space in the end. So how did you start with machine learning? What was your first steps, your first experience in the machine learning space?
Well, the first steps maybe happened at the university, and you've learned about machine learning, you've read about it, but I would say as a developer, it was far away from me. So when I thought about machine learning, to be honest, I had no idea how to start as a .NET developer. Often I think, I don't know if you see it the same way, but sometimes you read newspaper articles about those new AI and machine learning things, and I ever thought, who are those guys who are developing it? Because I'm a developer and I have no idea how machine learning really works. And I would say the first practical contact to machine learning was with the Azure Cognitive Services. That was a point where I thought machine learning is just a REST call away from me, and it was possible to start with something, to try out several things, and the cognitive services were a really good starting point for me.
And I lost him again. So I have no idea why Skype is disconnecting all the time. So let's try that again. This gets tough now. I have no idea why Skype is disconnecting over and over. Because I've got a... Yeah, here you are again.
They show the Skype logo each time they disconnect, so maybe it's a good advertisement, right?
Because it's Skype. Yeah, true. Marcus, you're right, because it's Skype. To be honest, we did a test run prior to, I think, a couple of days ago, and everything worked fine. I think we had a streaming with Skype for, I don't know, 5 minutes. And yeah, anyway. Yeah, Marcus, you're right. Maybe because it's Skype. By the way, before you continue talking about cognitive services for a second, since we are live, I would really like to have that pretty interactive. So like Marcos, please use the chat, ask questions. Even if you're at the end of the live stream and you're watching the replay, just ask questions, and we Roman and I will definitely follow up. So let's give that another try. Cognitive services, your first touch point.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to start with, because everyone knows how to send a REST call, and you don't have to know the magic behind machine learning from the very beginning. But it's fascinating, and you send an image to the Vision API, and you get back, there's a man sitting in the bar, and he's about 30 years old, and that was something that really was fascinating for me, and where I tried to know more about machine learning from that point on.
Okay. And did you already use or cognitive? Or let's start from the totally beginning. Obviously, not all of us might know what cognitive services are. Could you explain that a little bit in more details? What are we talking about currently?
Sure. The cognitive services are a set of REST API.
This starts to get annoying. We definitely needed auto reconnect.
Yeah, and we get faster and faster. Skype, by the way, asked me to rate the quality of the last call.
No, let's do the rating afterwards. It was a nightmare, disconnecting over and over again.
Well, the cognitive services are a set of REST APIs where you can consume AI as a service if you wish. So cognitive means you have services about vision, you have services about text recognition, and some other things. And as I've said, you have, for example, face recognition or emotion recognition as a service with pre-trained models. So you don't have to provide test data. You can just use the ready-to-use models. And the second option, sometimes there's the possibility to create custom trained models. So you have a nice little web portal where you can add your own images, for example. You can tag them visually, and then all you have to do as a data scientist is to click the green button and say train a model, and then you get a new endpoint and you can start using it. So basically AI as a service, if you wish.
Sounds good. Have you or did you do some, I don't know, real world applications with cognitive services already?
We did, and some of them I'm not allowed to talk about. But for example, we have a project in emergency call centers where the emergency calls come in, and there is one specific problem, because you have to find out what's happening out there, and you should find out it quite quickly within the first 1 or 2 sentences that someone tells you on an emergency call. If he says there was a crash at the highway, then a human knows, okay, might be a traffic accident, and asks useful questions. And that's exactly something that we tried with cognitive services, with Luis especially.
And he's gone again. Gosh, if this is going on, this is driving me nuts.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great.
And I'm thinking about maybe I should stop
Sometime in the
sending
future.
my video to you. Maybe that will help, but to save some bandwidth. But yeah, we will see.
All right. So we use Luis for that, to recognize the first 1 or 2 sentences and to classify them afterwards, to get an idea what's happening out there, and it works quite well. I'm really impressed about that.
Okay, sounds great. And after you made some experience with cognitive services, what else did you do in the machine learning space except for using pre-trained models, or do something called transfer learning in terms of using existing vision models or image detection models and using custom vision to enhance those. What else did you do?
Well, my next step as a .NET developer was taking a look at ML.NET, and gladly we are talking about ML.NET today. So that felt quite well for me as a .NET developer because I can use my tools, Visual Studio, I can use my language, C#, and I don't have to change the complete development stack just to get an idea of machine learning, but start with where I'm coming from and learn about machine learning and ML.NET, and that was the next step I took.
Okay, sounds good. So if for the people who are watching either the live stream or the replay of that live stream, what would you suggest how you should get started, or when you as a C# developer thinks about doing more than using pre-built models?
Well, there are many samples. Hello again.
Hi, and by the way, I switched off my camera now.
Okay, let's see if that helps.
But you need to turn on yours.
I already did.
Did you? Ah, here we go. Perfect.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So
somebody should start counting how many times Skype crashes.
My Skype counts because I can see the call history. it's getting larger and larger.
Okay, so let's give that another try.
Okay, let's give an advice how to start with ML and ML.NET. There are many ways, there are many samples out there, but what I found quite useful was AutoML. So that's a library, automated ML, that tries to automate the process of finding a suitable algorithm for your specific set of data. So you can put in your data and you can try to find out an algorithm that fits and generate code, basically. And that's something that's quite good for a start, and to learn and to see what happens when you use AutoML.
Okay, could you give us a brief introduction what AutoML exactly is? Do you completely automate everything, or what's automated?
Sure, I can demo AutoML.
Yep.
Maybe you can switch.
Yes. Now we see you still with the Skype screen. Yes, we do. Yeah. So, hi. Yes, you're sharing your screen, and Philip, yes, that was on my side, so you should hear both of us now.
All right.
So
Do you
thanks
see the
for
Excel?
mentioning. Yes.
Okay, so that's my test data set. And what I try is to create a machine learning model that is able to predict the number of calls that happen in a call center, for example, in an emergency dispatch center. So what we see here is we have on April the 13th at 10 o'clock, we have 96 calls between 10 and 11 o'clock. And we try to create a model based on that because we want to estimate a new day. We want to tell the employees today at 11 o'clock maybe over 100 calls are expected, and you should think of staff planes and things like that. So that's my test data set. I've extracted some more columns like the month or the day of week, because we could think of that those columns be important, as well as the weather conditions. But we have only two weather conditions. It's bad or it's good. That's the Austrian way of thinking about weather. There's nothing in between. So let's start with AutoML. And I have provided a perfect clean solution with a .NET Core console application. Nothing more has happened. And I have installed a managed extension called Model Builder. Model ML.NET Model Builder. That's the one I'm looking for. So this one has to be installed in Visual Studio through the extension manager so that you can use the following dialog. Because then you get right-click, add machine learning. That's the right-click publish for data scientists, maybe. So, but for demo reasons, it's quite nice. Add machine learning brings you to a wizard. Hey again, I'm trying to share my screen.
This is a little nightmare. I need to figure out. Either I use for the next live stream something else, but Skype is driving me nuts today.
Can you see my screen again?
Yeah, yes. I hope it's still your screen. Your mouse is moving, so that should work. Yes, it
should
is.
work.
It's still
Great,
working.
great. Okay, so the first thing in the wizard is to pick a scenario, because mainly you have two scenarios, classification or regression. And in that case, we want to do a regression because we want to predict the numeric value. We want to predict the number of calls per hour. So choose price prediction here.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Sure, I can. The next step is more interesting, maybe. We have to provide the input data. So we can choose a file or we can connect to a SQL server. Let's choose file. And let's select our calls that you've seen previously, our test data set. The next thing I have to select is the column that should be predicted. I want to predict the number of calls, so I select this column here. And then I can choose if I want to provide or if I want to deselect some of the input columns. And I will do that. I will deselect date because I think it's not that important what specific date it was. It's more important to get this extracted features like which month or which day of week was it when we measured these data. So with that, I can go to the next step and train. And that's really easy because I just have to explain how many seconds I want to give AutoML to find the best algorithm. Let's hit.
Yeah, Marcus is already mentioning we should move to Google Hangouts. I start to agree. So let's give it another try. Currently, no. Let me check if currently I see only the Skype logo. Let me check one thing. Yeah, switching back to my camera. Nope. I don't know why. But let's figure out. Yep. Maybe you should restart Skype.
Me?
Yes, now I can see you, but not your screen.
Okay, give me a second. But after the session today, I'm a really fast Skype user, I guess, because I find all the buttons within seconds.
Yeah, you start getting a Skype Pro.
Maybe I will get the Skype MVP award next time. Okay.
And continues. Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Continuing. So we tried 10 seconds to find the best fitting algorithm. And it says, well, let's choose the fast tree regression. That's a decision tree algorithm. And it's measured by R² index. And this R² is 96%. That's quite good. Let's take that one. Our predict, and it says, well, we think that there are 82 calls. Let's change something. Let's say it's 11 o'clock, predict. Then we see the number is slightly higher. So he thinks that at 11 o'clock, more calls are happening than at 10 o'clock. We could change the weather condition to, no, I didn't. I just zoomed in, but I didn't stop. I can stop and start again.
Let me just check. Nope, we can't see your screen.
So I stop sharing and start it again.
Now let me give that a try. I see you, but I don't see your screen. Here we go.
All right.
Now it's coming up. Perfect.
Okay. So that's something that you can use to quickly check and try if.
I agree. We should start using Hangouts next time.
Maybe you can find some Jeopardy melody or something like that for the waiting time. That would be great.
No, we'll give. Anyway, let's try that, and next time I'll switch to something else.
All right. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Great. So once again, you can try out your model here, and you can change the weather conditions, for example, and see that now the amount of calls is quite high because of bad weather, the traffic accidents, and so on. All right. The last step is create code. So click on Add Projects, and then he adds 2 projects to my existing solution. And I can take a look at the generated source code. I get a console application that I can use to predict one row and to get back the amount of calls. And I can show a second class. It's called Model Builder. And that's the class where all those information is in, how to build the ML pipeline, how to which trainer was used, in this case the fast tree trainer, and how to, for example, save the model and serialize it if you are fine with it. So that's a good way of starting with net.
Sounds good.
Still here?
Yes, I'm still here. And I can see you, but your screen, which is annoying a little bit, but let me switch that and get rid of that one. Perfect. We made it, at least for the first demo. Okay, let's give it another try. So thanks for showing ML.NET, a quick brief overview. What and you started showing that already by using in Visual Studio, but do you prefer doing everything with Visual Studio? Gosh. Okay. You're back. I can hear you. I'm continuing asking my question. Currently, we are not able to see you. But nevertheless, I tried to ask you, you used Visual Studio in that case. And do you prefer doing machine learning completely in Visual Studio? Do you use other tools? What's your preferred IDE for data science?
and again, the whole set of code is executed each time I try out something. And there's something that is a bit better than that, and it's called Jupyter Notebooks, which is something that the Python community knows very well, and gladly Microsoft decided to integrate the possibility of using C# in Jupyter Notebooks as well, and that's a great thing to use when working with ML.
Sounds good. So, do you also have some sample how ML.NET would look like in a Jupyter Notebook?
Yeah, sure. Do you see my screen? Let's. Yeah, I do.
Sorry, and I was
Stop shared. All right.
So now I see you, but currently not your screen. Gosh. Honestly, I start dreaming of the sky ringing bell tonight. So now we can see your screen, by the way.
Hey, great. Okay, so you can see my Jupyter Notebook.
Yes.
And a notebook is, honestly, it's a mixture between some documentation, Markdown code, and C# code in that case. The C# code is provided by a tool called .NET Test. So something you maybe or .NET Try. I'm sorry. And so that's the reason why Jupyter Notebooks can execute C# code now. So you can reference NuGet packages, for example, and I did that already, and some using and some boilerplate code. I don't want to go too much into it, but let's stay for a while here. We have a cell where we try to load the CSV file into a so-called data frame. Especially when it comes to memory allocation and things like that. So let's load our CSV file into a data frame. By hitting Control-Enter, I can execute this cell and only this cell. And that's the big story behind Jupyter Notebooks, that I can create these small cells with a piece of code, and I can execute it once and twice and how often I want, as often as I want, and without losing all the other executions that already happened. So now I have my CSV file loaded into a data frame. Let's see what we can do with the data frame. I can execute this cell here, and I can take a look at my data. I can say, let me take a look at some sample data. I want to just get 10 rows out of it randomly, just to get an idea how this data looks like. But I can do advanced things. I can say, let's do something like that. Call grouped, calls grouped.
Gosh. Yeah, maybe it's really a bandwidth issue. The downside is you're back. The downside is our Munich office has no wired network. We all rely completely on Wi-Fi. I think there's only one space, and that's internal, where we have wired. But
works well. Can you see my screen again?
Yes, and can you zoom in a little bit?
Sure. Let's try it that way.
Perfect.
So I can group the data. For example, I could think of grouping it by the day of week, because I want to take a look at my data and I want to check out if this weekday has anything got to do with the amount of calls, or if it just doesn't matter. So let's sum all the calls grouped by the day of week, and let's display the result. Control-Enter. Now I can take a look at my data and see on Sundays, for example, there are less calls than on Fridays. I also can make some plot. Let's see how that happens. Chart.plot, that's a library called Plotly or Xplot. that you can use to visualize your data. Let's make a scatter chart. Let's display that as well. Whoop, Control Enter, and now we can see a chart down here, and the zooming is not that perfect now, where you can visually see, okay, Sundays and Saturdays, there are less calls than on Fridays, for example, and on Monday. So it might be a good idea to take the day of week as a feature in our machine learning model. I could do several things more. I've provided a complete Jupyter notebook in my GitHub repository. You can find the link afterwards, so you can see what you can do with data frame in that Jupyter notebook. But take a look at data frames. They are really
Nice to talk to you again. Yep, and you need to reshare your screen. Otherwise, we can't see it. Yeah, I know you have to reshare it. Yeah, don't know why. Let's try that again. Not really. No, it's... Let me try that again. Switching to my screen. Nope. I also, by the way, don't see your camera for some weird reason. Anyway. Can you, yeah, just stop camera and sharing and try that again. Maybe it's popping up now. Because I see only the Skype logo. Shared screen. That looks good. Here we go.
better.
Yes, now it's working. Perfect.
Okay. So to sum up, take a look at data frame. It's a great data structure for machine learning tasks. And then the next step I have in my Jupyter notebooks is a test train split. So I want to use 30% of the data just for test reasons and to see if our generated model does a good job. And the other 70% I want to use for the training. I shuffle those rows, and then I choose 30% for testing. So now we have 4,700 rows for training and about 2,000 rows for testing.
And Skype doesn't show you the screen again. Honestly, looking at my second monitor, the connection to YouTube is pretty good. I don't know why this is going back and forth all the time. That's pretty weird.
Can you see anything at the moment?
Nope, you need to reshare. Now it's coming up. Perfect.
Okay. So you see my screen?
Yes.
Great, okay. So the next step is to define some classes for the model input and the model output. Those are the 4 columns I want to provide to my model: the hour, the month, the day of week, and the weather conditions. And I want to get out a float named score, but score is in fact the amount of calls in that hour. Last step in that case is to train my model, to create a model pipeline. So I have here the data process pipeline that takes all those 4 columns as a feature and does some other things like one-hot encoding, because we have some feature columns that are a category. A day of week can only have 7 different values, and one-hot encoding is quite useful for those scenarios. Tweety trainer, I can change it if I wanted to STCA for a moment and execute this cell. And let's see how good this model would perform with this trainer by calling this cross-validation step. And with the test data, with the 30% that we split just before, we can see how good it performs. We see it's not that bad. R squared of 84% is not that bad. But it could be better. And that's exactly where Jupyter Notebooks are a great tool, because I can just change the trainer up above to fast 3D, for example, execute this cell again, execute this cell again, and then I see the new results. And
the new results, and he's gone again. you need to demo faster.
Yeah, I'm talking as fast as I can, because I don't know
just kidding.
when the connection stops again.
This is.
Do you see anything?
Yes.
Okay, I'm quite at the end of my demo, so I'm talking a bit faster. So now we have a model created with this fast 3D trainer. We can try out several parameters and so on, and check. Jupyter Notebooks are a great way of doing that. The last thing I have in my notebook
and
is...
Could you, because I don't know how to pronounce your name, Usche? Whatever. He's asking, no, she's asking to zoom in a little bit.
Oh, sure. Let's try it.
Yeah, perfect.
Better? Okay.
Because
you can find the whole...
she's watching on the phone.
Okay, yeah. You can find the complete notebook in the GitHub repository. You can check each and every line afterwards if you want to. Okay, so the last thing I provide in my notebook is to show the actual and the predicted values visually. So I just execute this cell. I don't have the time until the next Skype interruption happens. And now I can see this chart where the blue points are the actual values of that day, and the orange ones are the predicted values. I can see we have learned something. We are quite good at estimating and at predicting the amount of calls per hour for that specific day. I can see it's a day where the weather condition...
Next time I should move to a location where I've got wired one, not in the office. Let's try that again. Currently no, but maybe it's coming up. Could you just stop and reshare? It's like having, I don't know, online meetings with a lot of people. So no, it's not showing up. So let's try that. Let me also move in here. Yeah. Like I said, next time I'm not using Skype anymore. This is really, this is a nightmare. Yep.
Does it work?
The thing is, I don't know why, but yeah, now I can see it. Great.
Great. I'm at the end of my presentation. No, once again, one more. We can take a look at the whole year if you want to. So I can execute this cell, and then we see the year with the actual data, and in orange, again, the predicted values. And I can zoom in, and I can take a look at the lines, and I see, well, our model does quite a good job. Maybe this specific day is not that good. We can take a look at it in detail and so on, just to get an idea how to work with those tools, visualize the data, make some statistics, try some parameters, try some trainers, and see if it gets better or not, and then iterate and try something new. And for that, Jupyter notebooks are a really great tool from my point of view, maybe better than Visual Studio in that case.
Yep, totally agree. Let me try. You're not sharing your camera, aren't you? Yeah.
Hey, Sascha.
I haven't talked to you for quite a while. So what I was just asking, are you sharing your camera as well? I think you can stop screen sharing because this is not working anymore.
Skype has stopped my screen sharing. I didn't do anything, but I'm sharing my camera right now.
Yeah, you're back. So don't do
Great.
anything. Don't move.
Great.
So let's try that again.
I hope that Skype doesn't use a machine learning algorithm to find out your best friends, because the amount of calls we had today is really is really a nightmare for a machine learning model, right?
We are definitely on fire now. There's something in Snapchat. If you are talking to regularly to a specific person,
Yeah.
you get a fire icon
Yeah.
besides his or her thumbnail. Anyway, so we are on fire now. Definitely trying to share over and over again. Anyway, so thanks for your demo. And for those of you who got mad because of the endless disconnections, I will provide the link to your demos in the description after the stream stopped and we've got the replay.
Yeah, maybe we could record a second video with only the samples, and we can provide that as well.
And put it online. That would be good.
Yeah.
So, what are your final last words? No, just kidding. So, one thing came into my mind while I was watching your demo and trying to figure out why it's not working. Not your demo, but the Skype connection.
Oh.
So, at some point, I decided, hey, C# is not the only language. I'll try R. I'll try Python. Do you have any idea how, for example, C# developers could work with the help of ML.NET together with, I don't know, Python developers, for example? Is there a way to collaborate in some way? And the answer will be when he's back.
The way to collaborate.
Yes.
Yes, and it is. So, for example, you can use TensorFlow models in ML.NET. I'm really glad that Microsoft takes a look what's happening in the community, what's already there, what's good to use, and not to reinvent the wheel every time. So, for example, TensorFlow models can be loaded into ML.NET, and you can use them. So that could be an answer when you work together with a Python developer, for example.
Sounds great. And to not stress our current luck that the connection is still there, thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for taking the time and sharing what you did already with machine learning, with ML.NET, and some thoughts about it. So I really appreciate that you were on the call, and I definitely appreciate for everyone who was sticking with us,
Very
going
brave.
through disconnecting and over again. My next stream will be on the 11th of March. Then I'm talking to Alexander Klein, this time completely about cognitive services at all, or only focusing on cognitive services in that case. And I will definitely consider using something else than Skype, or I don't know, try to figure out how to get things faster, or I don't know.
Otherwise, the stream
I will
will last
follow
from
up on my first try with that live stream and and do some retrospective and lessons learned and whatever. So thanks a lot for joining, and even though you are watching the stream afterwards, just put your notes down in the chat section, and either Roman or I will follow up. And yeah, Take care and talk to you all soon, and see you on the next stream or video.